All right, once again, we're here speaking with Geoff Tate. He's bringing his Operation Mindcrime, the final chapter show to the Rialto Theater on March 18th. And you've played Tucson quite a bit over the past decade or so, always put on a great show. So, Jeff, why is this the final chapter?
Well, I wanted to play the album Operation Mindcrime one more time, and before I retire it, basically. And I'm kind of getting up there in age, and I thought, well, I have a new collection of songs that I'm going to be releasing that are kind of in line with the story Operation Mindcrime, and it kind of all fits together. It seems like the right time to do it, and it all kind of makes sense, in the big picture of things. And when I tour something like this, it typically takes me a couple years to get everywhere I need to get, because it just takes that long to get everywhere you want to go.
Hmm.
So I'll be doing this for a couple years, starting, in March, and people probably get tired of seeing the advertisements for it, but that's the way it works. It takes forever to get everywhere because I'm not one of those artists that does like a 20-day tour and calls it quits. I tour. Well, last year I did 242 dates. I go, and so and I want to go everywhere I can. I like to take the show to the smaller venues, the smaller cities, rather than concentrating on the big cities. I
Oh,
think that's
yeah.
important to bring the show to where people live.
Well, and that's one thing I like about you. You do go to a lot of different cities. And, being here in Tucson, we've often seen artists will go to Phoenix
Hmm.
and we'll just drive through Tucson on the way there.
Yeah.
And I've seen dates where you've played up there, you've played down here. Both shows do well.
Hmm.
Wish more artists would do that. But you're still wrapping up one tour right now. Then you're going to take a holiday break. And when does the final chapter tour start?
It starts in Tucson.
Oh, we get the first show?
The first show, yes.
Oh,
Hmm.
wow, that's fantastic. So, how long is your break between the tours?
I don't know, a month maybe, I think. We finish, well, actually, no, it's not really even a break because we have dates for this, the big rock show tour I'm doing right now. We finish that in Spain a week before we start in Tucson.
So, you know what? Last time we chatted, we were promoting the Big Rock Show.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
two
you
years
are
ago.
truly a road warrior.
Was it that long? Yeah. It
Yeah,
takes it's a long tour. Yeah.
you're on the road a lot. Do you love performing live?
I love it. Yeah. I absolutely love traveling. I love being on the road. I love performing my music for people. I just love it.
So this tour here that's starting in Tucson, it's going to be the last time you play Operation Mindcrime in its entirety.
That's the plan. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then you say you got some new music that kind of is a sequel of
I
sorts.
do. It's well, I wouldn't call it a sequel. I'd call it a continuation of the story. It kind of we're doing it in kind of an interesting way. We're not going to release an album, so to speak, right off the bat. We're going to release the album once all the songs are released, if that makes
Oh
sense.
yeah, okay.
So we're going to release a song a month or every quarter, and then when it's all finished, we're going to do a special presentation with all the songs included.
So when you do this, who's in your band now? I mean, you always got stellar musicians with you.
Yeah, I have a new drummer actually, Robert Baker. We call him Baker. He's a Seattle drummer, amazing drummer, just very entertaining to watch. And I have Dario Parente, who's been with me for a number of years on guitar, Italian gentleman, and I have a French guitar player named Amaury that's been with me for quite a few years now. I have a new bass player who's Australian, Jimmy Wyan, who's wonderful. And I have a keyboard player from Rio de Janeiro, Bruno de Safiera, who's joining me on keyboards.
A truly international band.
Truly.
How do you find these people?
Um, well, it's all different. Some of them I've met touring. They've been in other bands, opening for me. Let's see, Bruno. Yeah, I guess they've all been in other musical projects, and we've been touring, and I've liked what they've done. And when the opportunity arises, they tour with me.
Oh, that's fantastic. Is there a name of the band? Is it just your band, or
No,
do you have a
just
specific
it's
name?
just me. Yeah.
So, when you release this new album, where do you come up with your concepts? Where do you come up, like, do you come up with a musical concept first, or is it the lyrical concept or the idea? And then how do you put it all together?
It's all different, really. Sometimes it's a musical figure that you're fiddling around with in the studio that leads to a complete song or a few songs, and sometimes it's the lyrical idea. Sometimes it's a sentence that just sparks your imagination and gets you rolling on something. With the Operation Mindcrime albums, uh, it was a story that came about really quickly. Actually, I wrote it very quickly, and then expanded on it over the years to explain a little bit more in depth as to what was happening within the story. Because the first album is a little bit vague in what it's talking about, and the second album explains even more as to what the characters are going through. And the third album again will be even more explanation, but taken from a number of different viewpoints, which kind of is interesting, I think.
So, what can people expect at the show? You're going to play Operation Mindcrime in its entirety.
Yep.
Is there going to be an intermission, and then you come out and play some other
No,
songs, or
we're
how's
going
this
to do
going to work?
one long show, and it's it's Operation Mindcrime one in its entirety, and it's Operation Mindcrime two, excerpts from that make sense with the presentation, and then some of the new songs from what we're tentatively calling Operation Mindcrime three.
Oh, wow. And
Mhm.
then how's well, obviously, when you do this, so we're kicking it off here. I can't ask you, how's the things going so far with that because you're still doing the big rock show. Um, when do you find time with all this touring and recording that you're doing to sit down and come up with the concept for the next tour?
It's amazing how much free time you have. It really is. Yeah, there's a lot of traveling, that you do. I do, and so yeah, a lot of it's just sitting and thinking and writing down your ideas, and then you start implementing them. And we have a lot of time during sound checks every day that we utilize to rehearse and to work out new parts and sections, and we do preliminary recordings for the album live when we're um, at sound check. So we have a few hours every day where we're able to do quite a bit of work, and get a lot of things accomplished and ready.
So you're able to yeah, everybody thinks you're up there, what, 90 minutes, 2 hours?
All for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 90 minutes usually, typically. Yeah.
And there's a lot of prelim that goes ahead of that with a sound check and all that. But then there's a lot
Yeah.
of the rest of the day you got to do. And the traveling's got to wear on you after a while, I'm sure, Geoff.
Um, I've been doing it for 40 some odd years. So I'm
Hmm.
just used to it. It's just part of my thing. I got my schedule. I have my workout I do in the mornings, and I have my favorite restaurants to visit when I'm in cities, and I keep them all marked down on a list so I can visit them when I go there. And uh, yeah, I just love it. It's a lifestyle that I've just kind of adapted to.
So it's almost like you get paid to travel.
Yeah, I wish I wish that was the case.
Well, yeah. How does a band now, obviously, you've been around a while. You've seen the changes in the music industry. Bands used to tour to promote a new album. Now it's almost the complete opposite. You put out some music on Spotify or whatever account there and release songs to the radio to promote a tour. And how has that affected your creative process? Is it I talked to a famous musician who I won't name who basically said they're not going to put out new music anymore because what's the use? And But then I've talked to others who like, I still need to create.
Mhm. I think you just have to find a personal balance, of what works for you. Everybody's different. There is no one way to do anything. And what works for one person might not necessarily work for another person. You just have to try your best and do what you like doing, you know, and
Well, I know that you absolutely love it. And
not
you
not
should,
not not worry about fame or riches or anything like that. If you're looking for that, this industry is not the place to look for that in anymore. It's very, very difficult to make a living doing it. You might have some quick success in some area, but to keep it sustain that, it's very, very difficult, and it very demanding, on your physicality, on your mental state, your pocketbook, everything. I'm very fortunate that I came up in a time period that I was allowed and able to, you know, uh, find an audience, for my music, and luckily through touring and playing worldwide, I've been able to expand that over the years. A lot of bands, they don't play in anywhere else than America, you know, and it's strange. Even bands that are hugely successful in America don't oftentimes do well enough to play shows in South America or Japan or Europe or someplace like that. It's crazy. And other bands that you've never heard of that are hugely possible and hugely popular in, say, Italy, you'll never hear of them in America. Music it's a strange animal.
I'm sure too, though, with your travels, traveling the world, it's opened your eyes that we're not just the center of the world. There's a whole big world out there.
Yeah, it's a big world with a lot of different people, a lot of different viewpoints, and a lot of different preferences in art, entertainment, music, cuisine. You name it. It's all up for interpretation, really.
Well, one thing I've interviewed a few artists over the years, and the one thing I'm always fascinated about is sometimes an artist can be famous for a certain style of music, but they have other things that they're into. What would somebody be surprised to learn about Geoff Tate? Like, is there a different type of music you're into, or is there an art that you're into that somebody may not know about?
Well, probably, yeah. Uh, well, I'm pretty into wine. I have my own wine label. It's based in Germany, southern Germany. It's called Insania. I've been making wine since 2007.
Hmm.
And if I wasn't a full-time musician, I'd probably be a winemaker and a vineyard uh, dabbler. I dabble in the vineyards all day. I love it. I love digging in the dirt.
How did you discover that?
Uh, when I was about 14, I was a Boy Scout, and I was looking for ways that you could earn merit badges.
Hmm.
And one of the things you could get a merit badge for was creating a food product or a beverage. And I was reading a book that I found in my grandmother's library about um, making wine out of every unusual things other than grapes. Like
Oh,
they're called
wow.
folk wines, FOLK. And people have been making wine for, eons of time. And so she had a very large yard that was filled with dandelions. And there was a recipe for dandelion wine, which I decided that I would try my hand at because I had this huge surplus of dandelions. And I made the wine, and it turned out good. I had never made wine, never drank wine. I was 14, so I gave it to all my parents, friends, and adults, and they tasted it and said, "Oh yeah, it's very drinkable. Very
Oh,
good."
wow.
Anyway, I got the merit badge.
I'm sure you did. And it looks like you've got a little side hobby from it.
I do. Yeah, it's a hobby that's turned into sort of a passion.
And hopefully make a little extra bucks on the side too.
Who Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's called Insania.
Insania. Yeah.
Insania, and that's out of Germany. That's fantastic.
Mhm.
What can people expect? They saw the big rock show here a couple years ago. Obviously, we talked a little bit about, but if somebody's never seen Geoff Tate solo, maybe never saw you in the Queensryche days, what can they expect in March here in Tucson when they see you?
How to describe what it is I do? Well, that's so difficult for me. Yeah, I'd say go on YouTube.
When you did
Watch a
check it out.
video. Yeah, it's just like that, just like the
All
video.
right. Hey, by the way, what do you think of that when you're performing on stage? Because I see a lot of artists don't like when people are doing this thing and all that. What are your thoughts on that? Like, would you rather see them be in the moment, or do you actually see the people out there doing that when you're on stage, or you're too busy being in the moment?
Yeah, usually I'm so into the music that I don't really notice what people are doing, holding up signs, uh, you know, clapping their hands, smiling. I miss all of that, really. Until they turn the lights up at the end, I don't even know how many people are there, typically.
Oh
But
wow,
really, I just don't have a judgment on people. I think if you're coming to a show and you're enjoying the music, enjoy it any way you want, have fun, have a good time. It's about, you know, uh, living it and experiencing on your own terms, I guess, as long as you're not hurting anybody or breaking the rules of the venue, have a great time.
right. Well, Jeff, if people want to follow you and see where you're at, what you're up to, and that, can they find you on social media? What's the website,
Yep. Yeah,
etc.?
I think I'm all over social media. I've got Facebook account and Instagram and TikTok and whatever else there is out there. I've got it.
And so that'd be jefftate.com.
Yeah, JeoffTate.com. You can see that too. Yeah.
And then as far as your social medias, do you have the blue check mark, or have you had any
Yep.
problems with the imposters?
Oh yeah, all the time. Everybody does. Yeah.
That's gotta be so annoying. It's like,
Yeah. Well, I've got a guy that does that for me and handles it, so it's not annoying to me.
oh, that's good. All right.
It's annoying for him.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it is. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in March. Hopefully, maybe get to meet you in person for a chance and to say hi. I've been a big fan of yours going back to I'd say early 80s. That dates me. So watching the old Queensryche videos with you on MTV way back
Yeah.
when.
Hmm.
So looking forward to hopefully meeting you in person, but definitely seeing you in concert again for the umpteenth millionth time. So.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Again, Geoff Tate going to be at the Rialto Theater kicking off the Operation Mindcrime, the final chapter tour here in Tucson, March 18th. Get your tickets at rialtotheater.com. I think you can even get them at jefftate.com and at klpx.com.
Absolutely. Hope to see you there.